Are you a house wholesaler or flipper? If so, the last 10 years have been fantastic. How about now, though? Has COVID-19 and the global economic showdown brought your business to a screeching halt? With 30 million people applying for unemployment benefits since February, many pundits believe that investing in single-family homes is like trying to catch a falling knife. What if there was a strategy that could deliver significant near-term returns now? In this episode of the Land.MBA Podcast, we will discuss how raw land may be just the opportunity that traditional real estate investors have been looking for.
Welcome to the Land.MBA Podcast, where we go deep into the business of land investing.
Hey, Howard, how's it going today?
It is going great.
Good.
I had this incredible idea because all my lights kept reflecting off my picture of pre-9/11 New York City. It was really awkward. I said, you know what? I'm just going to turn my camera into the corner so I can capture the logo, which is the whole reason I bought that document. What do you think?
I love it. It looks good.
All right.
The lighting is much better. Now I got to do something with my dark background, but that's fine. I'll do it later.
It creates a nice offset to the light receiver that sits above your eyes.
My shiny chrome dome.
So if I am not mistaken,
I got a little tan on it this weekend. Can't you tell?
You would have to be more careful than I would. I mean, I know that if I get a burn, the skin starts to peel. Have you ever had that, like where your head peels?
Oh, it's the worst. But it's at least being bald. It's really easy to apply sunscreen to your head.
Well, there you go. Head mask.
I wear a hat most of the time. Yeah, I got out on the bike a little bit this weekend. It was nice. I got this little arthritis in my knee, and getting on the bike helps so much. And so I need to get more consistent with it. It was some beautiful weather. So
for some reason, a thought just came into my mind, and that is, you are the embodiment of shiny object syndrome.
Oh my God. Oh jeez. So I heard you had a nice hike this weekend.
Oh my God. Here I am in Connecticut. It's fairly densely populated. There's a lot of beauty in Connecticut, but not like when I was in Colorado going up to every weekend. But we found this spot like 20 minutes from my house, and this hike was as beautiful as anything I did in Colorado. With waterfalls and fields, and just along the river, and it was fantastic. So yeah, good times. It's all about good land.
Cool. Very good. So what are we talking about today?
Well, if I know your history at all, I am under the impression that you've got a fairly significant background in house wholesaling and flipping in addition to land. Is that right?
I that's how I kind of started my real estate career, fix and flipping and some wholesaling. Yep.
So I know you're doing land now, but I guess my question to you is, given what's going on in the world right now, when the economic slowdown, everybody's home, nobody's working, nobody's paying their bills, or at least, not the real estate bills. Do you think that right now is still a good time to be involved in this wholesaling and flipping?
Yeah, well, yes and no. I don't think anybody really knows exactly what's going to happen, but I think that there are, some really experienced people out there that have been through some of these cycles. And look, cycles are natural. We need cycles. This one is going to be extreme because we haven't seen the effects of it financially fully yet, because people are just losing their jobs. They're just starting to run out of savings. There's going to be, we don't know what kind of mortgage forgiveness there's going to be, but it can't be infinite, can't go on forever. There is going to be fallout like there was in 2008. But right now we're so early that, a lot of us who have been through cycles and we understand how this works, we understand that we were at the, a peak of a market, and, we needed something to happen, or there was going to be some cyclical thing to happen that would create opportunity again, and the cycle would repeat itself. Nobody thought it would be this extreme, because nobody saw COVID coming. But right now, because of what is potentially going to happen when we start to see the rings of the circle expand out, and we start seeing higher level of defaults, both in residential and commercial, because you're going to have a lot of these businesses, whether they get stimulus or not, they're not coming back. A lot of restaurants are not going to come back. They're not going to come back in the same way. So you're going to have a lot of now. What's also happened is you've had, with all this remote working, you've accelerated the adoption of remote working, and you're going to have companies looking at their books going, you know what, we really ran pretty well with everybody remote. Why do we need this big office building? So you're going to have fallout there in commercial real estate, and all of that has ripple effects. But coming back to single family homes and flipping and wholesaling, certainly a fix and flip right now is, I certainly would not have wanted to be in the middle of a fix and flip when this stuff happened, maybe with a hard money loan or a bunch of my own cash out there, or any kind of, leverage on the property. And then you're hoping to put money into it and sell it for more. I wouldn't want to be that. So fixing and flipping right now, is, I think, going to be pretty dead for a while. Now, wholesaling, on the other hand, traditional wholesaling, where you've got to buy for a very low price, and then you're gonna flip that over to a fix and flipper. Well, again, it's catching the falling knife. Even a buy and hold, it's there's like a holding period right now, so it's difficult. Now, in a few months, maybe more than that, probably closer to 2021, as I think, when the buying opportunities are going to start in housing.
I love that phrase. It's like catching a falling knife. It's just so visual. I can just imagine this thing slicing through my hand and blood gushing, and it just seems quite miserable. But explain exactly what that means from a real estate investing perspective.
Yeah, well, it's we all expect prices to come down based on what's happened. You've got the level of unemployment is on a level of, 10 to 15x what it's ever been from any kind of event or cycle. It's just unprecedented. There's not enough money you can print in the world to bail everybody out. And so you're going to have mortgage defaults. You're going to have people not able to pay rent, and hence landlords are going to default. I'm a little concerned about that myself. I have half a dozen doors, and so, but nobody knows where the bottom is. So I wish I had a drawing board, but you got
to get close to.
I wish I had a drawing board, but if you had, the sine wave, the cycle, right? You have the trough down here. Right now, we're still right here at the peak. You've got all this downward, and then it's going to trough. You want to buy as close to the, bottom of the trough, so you don't have too much farther to go. Or really, the safer side is to buy after it starts recovering a little bit, where you've got plenty of runway to go. And so that's where you're confident that, this thing isn't going to just keep falling. And honestly, we can't tell for certain that that's going to happen. We know there has to be some decrease in values. There just has to be. And you're going to have people that have no equity who recently bought, And if they were low money down, they're just going to walk. They're going to walk and they're going to rent. So you're going to have a lot of the 2000. You're going to have inventory. You're going to have a lot of 2008 over again. The only saving grace is that our lending institutions are in much better position than they were because the underwriting standards were much higher this time around, and they're much the regulations for the capitalization on the banks is much stricter. So,
just to use a good landed analogy, it really feels to me like the way our economy is being run, principally by the Federal Reserve, it's sort of like forest fire management. We're going to put all these policies in effect to prevent forest fires from happening. But of course, forest fires are necessary to the long-term health of forests. And they burn out a lot of the undergrowth, which then creates nutrients in the soil for new growth. And if you don't allow those forest fires to happen, when it does happen, and it will happen, it's cataclysmic. And that's kind of what feels like today. Is we've been kicking this can down the road so far, and now we're going into this downward cycle. But how far down could it go? Well, it's going to be worse because we've artificially propped it up to begin with. I'm a little bit concerned about that.
I love that analogy. I mean, it is a really good analogy, and not to go down too much of a rabbit trail, but the way that we also manage our personal finances and our businesses as well, we can look at all the economic indicators and we can look at things that are happening and we can rewind 90 days, 120 days and say, it's looking pretty good by all the normalities. The problem is I think we've gotten so accustomed, and is certainly our country with the massive debt. If this happens again, there's no bailout money. I mean, you just can't. Right now, when
after the Great Recession.
What's that?
They said that was going to be the case after the Great Recession. I mean, where the Federal Reserve's balance sheet is so in the whack right now that they wouldn't be able to do it again, and yet here they are. I think right now they're saying that the cost of the bailout this time will be more than QE 1, 2, and 3 combined.
Yep, and our debt service is going to exceed 100% of GDP. What do you do when that happens?
Well, you go bankrupt.
Yeah, or you try to inflate your way out of it. We're not the financial experts as far as that go. I mean, I'm hitting the limit on what I can speak. What's that?
We're not. So we don't play with TV.
Right. I mean, I don't want to go beyond my area of knowledge here and start making predictions, but it's going to have an impact. Now, not to get everybody depressed. The forest fire analogy, then, when everything clears out, you got new, beautiful growth and opportunity for new plants and new species to thrive. So with us, being in real estate, how the market cycles play out, and in all asset classes, there's going to be tons of opportunity. But I think what we're trying to specifically hit on today is, what do we do for the next 6 to 9 to 12 months? While, you asked me about the falling knife. It's you try. Where do I catch it? You're trying to, where do I catch that thing? Do I catch it here? And then, okay, I bought this house and now the market's continuing to plummet. So I got cut on that deal.
Is it just me, or is it getting harder and harder to count on a job for our financial security? Who would have ever believed that we would go from the lowest unemployment in 50 years to 40 million people unemployed? Whether you have a great job and want to create a second income, or you're recently unemployed, you need to check out Land.MBA, your one-stop shop for land investors. Investing in vacant land is a proven business model that can help you build a reliable and scalable second income. Imagine a business where you love what you do. There's no limit on how much money you can make. You can operate your business from anywhere in the world with an internet connection. And best of all, you can never be fired or downsized. If this sounds good to you, Land.MBA provides everything you need to get your business up and running and delivering income quickly. You get education, an end-to-end video course and optional coaching to help you get started faster and turn your energy into income. You get tools so you can automate and outsource the busy work and stay super organized. You get access to a thriving community of like-minded investors, which is a powerful way to share best practices and develop potential partnerships for growing your business. And finally, you get access to deal financing, so you never have to pass on a great investment opportunity due to limited funds. Our team has over a decade of real estate investing experience and has the knowledge and experience you need to help navigate any investing scenario. And with Land.MBA, we hold nothing back. Because there are no upsells, you get access to all of our combined knowledge right out of the gate. So don't wait to provide your family with financial freedom. Sign up today for Land.MBA's Soup to Nuts Land Investing video course. Just go to courses.land.mba and use coupon code FREEDOM to get 25% off. That's courses.land.mba and coupon code FREEDOM. And let us help you say goodbye to your JOB and hello to financial freedom.
Having been an investor in various assets for many, many decades now, if there's one thing I know from my own experience, I'm really, really good at picking like stocks. I'm a great stock picker. I pick some stocks. Go up 70, 80, 90% in 6 months. I've done it so many times. I am the worst at selling stocks. My tone is pathetic. And, I can't pick tops. I can't pick bottoms. They say the bulls and the bears make money and the pigs get slaughtered. So we may not know when the bottom's going to be, but we can get a sense roughly, within a band. Even if we don't, even when we buy it before it hits the full bottom, that's a lot of time because it builds and then we'll come back up and we don't have to hold so long. But I can imagine. There's this potential risk of flippers and potentially even wholesalers that it ends up being a buy and hold strategy. And how long do you have to hold it? That's the problem. Wouldn't it be great if there was a strategy where you can get in and get out with a quick turn and book a nice return and reinvest that money over and over again and get some velocity to your returns? And I think that's really what we need to dig into today.
Yeah. So, we're talking about our favorite asset, which is raw land. And so let's dig into that.
Absolutely. I mean, and you used a phrase earlier when we were talking, and I loved it, a congruent real estate asset class, you called it. What is that? What's a congruent real estate asset class?
Well, it's congruent to your business. So if you're a fix and flipper, if you're a wholesaler or both, you're into single family homes, in any business, it's always wise to diversify our income streams. If you're an online seller, you have different product lines. Maybe you have product lines that are in different market segments, so that when there is economic turbulence, one may be affected without the other. Very similar to your stock investing. You diversify your asset classes. Well, we want to diversify our income streams. Well, if you're a fix and flipper and a wholesaler, I started that way, and then I got into land, and it was a congruent business because it was still in real estate. So I didn't have to go and learn something completely new. It wasn't like shiny object syndrome where, okay, I'm focused and I'm trained and my business model is in real estate. Now I'm going to go start an Amazon business. Right. You can do that, but if there's no other options on the table, but land investing, you can do using a lot of your existing knowledge, a lot of your existing training, a lot of your existing mindset. If you're already turning deals, if you've been turning deals, then you have the mindset and you won't have the fear to jump in with both feet and execute quickly and really scale your land business. And so it is a market segment that is a lot less volatile than, um, or I'm sorry, in an asset class that is a lot less volatile than housing and commercial and the more traditional stuff. Because you don't have the cheap debt that drives up the prices very, very quickly. And then when we have a bust, it really busts. You don't have that with land because it's either cash or seller financing.
So it's categorically the same. It's all real estate. It's just a different asset class of real estate. And many of the skills, techniques, and tools that we might use in wholesaling and in flipping, they actually can be applied, maybe not 100%, but certainly to some extent, into the land business. So you're not starting from ground zero trying to figure something out completely new. You're simply, there are things you have to learn.
Absolutely.
It's more of an adaptation than a start from scratch.
It's an iteration. It's a what do you call it? It's an evolution, not a revolutionary change.
Yeah.
You're gonna be familiar with contracts already. You're gonna be familiar with assignment of contract. You're gonna be familiar with what an option agreement is. You're going to be familiar with the process on how to close, how to work with a title company. You're going to be familiar with a lot of the marketing concepts, direct mail, and all of that. So you don't have to go learn all that stuff all over. It's adding another tool to your tool belt, and that's what I've always learned in real estate investing. When I first got into real estate investing, and every newbie asks this. It's all right, well, what should I do? Should I do lease options? Should I do wholesaling? Should I do fix and flip? Should I do buy and holds? Blah, 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 blah. And, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. But the thing is, when you're first learning, you can only absorb so much. So you have to, focus on what the market is giving you at that time. And so now we're making a market adaptation. And there's going to be, as I said, 5, 6 to 12 months from now, there's going to be opportunities galore in traditional real estate assets, houses and commercial real estate. Something I want to do on a different podcast, and that's how do you reposition all this commercial real estate that's going to not be used anymore, but that's for a different show.
Right.
But so what do we do in the next half a year to a year where we don't want to catch that falling knife? There's not that many strategies, and you can't just shut down your business. Land investing offers the opportunity for a low point of entry, getting going quickly, and adding some another tool to your tool belt. There's a big demand right now for rural land.
That's exactly where I want to go next, because what we're seeing is that the real estate market is, looking at deal volume, say in the month of March versus March from the previous year, it's like down 80%, in various markets. Obviously, it's a little different, but it's down crazy. Obviously, nobody's moving. Everybody's stuck at home. People can't go and look at houses. They can't do, you can't do open houses. So there's a lot of reasons to drive this, but also businesses have slowed down. Nobody's hiring. So that really decreases the amount of relocations. There are a lot of drivers. But my question is, while traditional commercial and residential real estate are in the tank right now, how is land doing?
Land's doing well. Everybody I talked to said their sales are up. People are doing really well.
So, I have kind of a unique vantage point from my LandSpeed product. So through LandSpeed, I talk to scores of land investors every week, and almost across the board, I'm hearing, I'm acquiring property like nobody's business, which I kind of would have expected because, increasingly people are going to say, look, I got these assets that are not doing me any good. And, I really need to cash out and get some quick cash. So I can understand being able to acquire right now. But what's really blown my mind is how people are able to sell. Sales have been through the roof.
Yeah, sales have been good. It's and, of course it's dependent upon, your geography and where you've got stuff and whatnot. But like I've had some inventory that sold well, and I've had some inventory that hasn't sold, but I don't think it's been because of the virus or any market conditions. It's just because it's really deep snow where I own these properties. People can't get up to look at them, and so hopefully May those properties are gonna sell because the snow's melting. But yeah, everybody I talk to is having great sales. I have a buddy who's been in the business since the 90s and late 90s, and he told me it's like nothing has happened. His business and he, during some of the '08 stuff, he had a big slowdown. But things have changed a little bit too. There's a lot of dynamics that have changed. And so I think that, now what happens to land a year from now, I don't know. 6 months from now, I don't know. When all the fallout starts coming out, is that going to be a time then for us to add houses back into our portfolio? It could be. As good real estate investors, we should have a diverse portfolio and be able to jump in and do it all. But right now, land is solid and it's far less volatile. And the thing is though too, Howard, with land, we don't have that escalating prices because there's no debt. Nobody lends on it. And if they do, it's, certain properties above a certain value, and there's still 40, 50% down payment required typically on land. And so we don't have those big price moves. And when we're buying it, what do you say? How do you make money in any real estate? Where do you make the money, right? On the purchase. And so that's what we're doing all day long. We're buying super cheap and reselling cheap so we can sell it quickly. And we're still making, 100, 200, 300% spreads on cash deals all day long. And, we get disappointed if we only made 85%. What other asset class or investment can you do that? And typically you're turning it in 90 days.
Yeah.
So Howard, what are some of the benefits in your mind of land investing versus wholesaling and flipping? But before you answer that, I want to say a quick word about our sponsor, LandSpeed. Hey folks, my name is David Van Steenkist, and I've been a real estate investor for over 10 years. I've used lots of different tools, but none of them has done for my business what LandSpeed does. LandSpeed covers every step in the land investing process, from ordering mailing lists to marketing, sales, and closing the deal. What I really like, though, is it anticipates my needs. When I think, I wish I had a quick and easy way to evaluate return on investment on a potential property, look no further, LandSpeed does it. If I want to edit a deed after LandSpeed creates it, it can do that too. Most systems just stick you with a PDF that's uneditable, and you got to go back into the system and edit the fields and do whatever you need to do, and it's a real pain in the rear end. LandSpeed simplifies it. If I want to send 1 or 5 or even 40 neighbor letters at the click of a button, bam, LandSpeed does it. But even with all that inherent capability, you get access to LandSpeed Community, you get weekly mastermind calls, and you get the best mailing rates in the business with no volume commitment, which is freaking awesome. Because if I just want to pop one contract to somebody, I don't have to pay $1.50. I still pay the bargain basement rate. And on top of that, customer service is stellar, quick, and they just do a great job. I've been very, very happy, very pleased with it. And look, I've been running my business on LandSpeed for over 2 years. So take it from me. If you're serious about your land business, then check out LandSpeed at facebook.com/landbizautomation. That's land, B-I-Z automation. And if you want $100 off, tell them you heard it from me, David Van Steenkist, on the Land.MBA podcast. So Howard, now that we're back, hey, what in your mind are some of the benefits of land investing over house flipping and wholesaling?
I think there are a lot. A common phrase in the industry is there are no tenants, termites, toilets that you have to worry about. That's nice. But what that really adds to, not only does it take away a lot of the headache, but the fact of the matter is land is a business that you can be geographically independent. You don't have to go see it. I joke around all the time, but it's actually a true statement that what other business, it's like land. We can buy land that we've never seen and a county that we've never been to from a person that we've never met, and then turn around and flip it to somebody else that we've never met, all from the comfort of our own home. It's pretty extraordinary. But what is your home? I mean, right now, my home may be my house, but in a couple of weeks, it may be an RV. Or maybe I'll be sitting on a beach in Thailand. It doesn't matter. So long as I have an internet connection with a smartphone and a laptop, in business.
Exactly.
To see it.
And I'll take that into another extreme. You said a county you've never been in, a state you've never been in, and a country. There are people doing this internationally very successfully.
Yeah, absolutely. So geographic independence is a big one. And it's one of my big four, because after leaving my last corporate job, I really thought hard about what is it that I cared about in this next stage of my career, which maybe hopefully is my final stage of my career. And I came up with four items that were absolutely important. The first one is I had to look forward to getting it. If I didn't like it, I didn't want to do it. Check. Second one, there can be no limit on how much money I can. I'm willing to work twice as hard. I want to make twice as much money. Check. 3, geographic independence. We live in the internet age. If I've got a laptop, a smartphone, and internet connection, I should be able to run my business from anywhere in the world. Check. And then 4, I can never be fired or downsized. Well, guess what? Land gives me all 4 of those. It's a fantastic thing. But there's a couple other things that we should probably get. There's, really, except in certain circumstances, there's no Dodd-Frank that you have to worry about. The lending, buying and selling property is more akin to buying and selling a car than it is to selling real estate. I mean, when I sell a car, I take the title, I turn it over, I sign it over to the next person, boom, they own the car. It's almost the same thing with land. We sign a deed in the presence of a notary, report it with the county, done. Ownership is painless.
Exactly. And, one of the barriers to entry that used to be, even though it was low because you didn't need a ton of cash. I mean, you probably needed at least $5,000-6,000 to start the business. And then you had to start really small with, buying these really cheap desert properties for $500 and flipping them for $1,500 or whatnot, and kind of build up your stockpile there slowly. Or if you can find a family member or a friend who would, lend you $10,000-20,000. But nowadays, that's not a barrier because you have 3 or 4 well-known plus several private individuals out there who are lending as equity partners on land. It's certainly, yes, you give up a bigger percentage of the deal, but so what? Just do more deals and do deals with more spread in them. Now you can start off doing properties that you buy for 5 to 10 and sell for 15 to 30 versus buying these cheap stuff, although that has its place in your portfolio if you want to go that route. So it's pretty easy to get started today.
We should do a podcast on this. Five ways to buy land without any money down.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
there's a lot of ways to do.
Yeah, and in fact, I put one under contract yesterday, Sunday, where there's a little bit of stuff that needs to be done on it. So I was able to negotiate 4 months to close on it, and it's a quadruple my money all day long deal. Like buy for 12, sell for probably around 50 cash, but I got to do a couple things on it. So I got a 4-month closing on it, I'll have that thing marketed and sold and double close it. So I don't need to even borrow money or put out my own cash for it. So I love those deals.
All day long. So why do you think that land hasn't been hit in the current crisis the way other asset classes in real estate have?
Well, again, so let's quantify that statement. Not all land hasn't been hit. Infill lots, certainly. If
infill lots?
Say again. You get closer.
What are infill lots? What are infill lots?
So infill lots are lots that are within a subdivision that hasn't been fully built out, and where we'll look for those. And that's a great strategy in an upward market where you're getting close to the peak where we were, a few months ago. We were still buying and selling infill lots. So those are lots where, if builders are active in that subdivision or area, you're soliciting private owners of those land and flipping them to builders. That's a great strategy. But right now, that's deader than a doornail because, if houses are dead, nobody's going to be building new, or not many people anyway. So, and I would imagine also a lot of commercial and industrial lots are going to be pretty dead for a while as well. They're going to be sitting.
Tell me the good news.
So the good news is rural land is in high demand. Partially because of the virus. People are thinking seriously about, having a place to bug out to if this ever happens again. And, or when it happens again. And, as I said before, we don't have the crazy debt that spikes the pricing on land. Lenders don't lend on raw land. It's only cash or seller financing. Except for, in certain price points in the higher end land that's close in, you'll find loans on that, but it's also very, very high down payment for that stuff. So,
that's absolutely critical. We can't emphasize that enough. I mean, the whole implosion in 2008 was because all the lending facilities completely dried up. You couldn't get a mortgage even if you wanted to buy. But that has absolutely no bearing. I mean, the banking system has only periphery impact upon this land market because most of the lending takes place by owners. It's owner financing. So I say a peripheral effect. It just means because if the economy goes down in general, rising tide raises all ships, and a decreasing tide, brings all ships down. But so far, it looks to be very, very stable, and people are looking forward to it because if I can't get finance from a bank, I can get financed by somebody who won't. So that works out great. And I would say that there's another thing, and that is the global economy is in a really precarious place right now. We don't really know what's going to happen, and whenever something is precarious in economics, or if there's the threat of great inflation, you want to get your wealth into asset classes, not for wealth accumulation, but for wealth preservation. And so you want to put it into safe assets that will hold value over time. The number one place people would go in a situation like that would be precious metals, gold and silver. I'm partial to physical gold and silver. But you can barely get your hands on it right now. In the spot, the premiums are really high. So let's just say that silver right now is around $15.5 an ounce. You'll end up paying $22, $23 to buy physical, and it'll be a month, 2 months, 3 months before you'll actually get it delivered.
Yeah, and then you have issues with whenever you want to sell it. You either have to find an individual who wants to buy it at spot price, or you sell it to one of these buyers at a 15% discount. So, if
it's gone up 100%, you have to sell it at a 50% discount. Not the end of the world. I would say to anybody who's interested in buying precious metals, buy it for somebody as part of their offering guarantees that they'll buy it back at an agreed upon, discount on the spot. Right. So you know that you've always got a market for somebody to buy it back, assuming you're still in business. But the fact of the matter is, right now it's really hard to do because you can't get your hands. But land happens to be another one of those sources of value. I mean, it'll fluctuate up and down like everything else does, but not in not as
extreme
high highs and lows in the spikes as the residential real estate market. And so it actually, if somebody has money, that's an interesting market to sell property to because it's a good way to preserve wealth.
Yeah, I mean it is, and the other thing, depending on the land too. So there's a strategy that I've been wanting to try. In fact, I just had a property that I'm taking back, and I wanted to try this strategy, but I already have a buyer for it. So. And that is doing hunting leases, depending on the area, so there's a website called Hunting Land Rental by Owner, HLRBO. And they don't charge you to list your land up there. They charge the people that do the lease, then there's a fee, and they actually end up paying for it. But I have a 40-acre property down in southern Colorado that the guy on HLRBO told me I should be able to rent it or do a seasonal lease for $200 to $300 an acre. So that's $8,000 to $12,000 a year. And I'm selling it on terms, making like $4,000 a year, and it'll be paid off in 5 years, but I could have it forever and just do a freaking hunting lease. So,
that's really a passive income model. Well, I mean, I can sell it on terms, but at the end of the term, they get the property, and I stop getting an income on it. Whereas what you're talking about, it's a perpetual income.
It's forever, so long as there's, game to be hunted down there. And so, yeah, I mean, there are some opportunities for that. But, that's just kind of a side note. And I haven't, vetted it myself yet. I'd love to hear comments from people who hear this podcast if you've done that routine. I haven't really seen much of it in Facebook groups. But in any case, you're right. I mean, you buy land at a decent price, it's going to be a good place to park your money. So if you're getting into this and, there are investors who have cash that they just want to park and keep it safe.
All right. Well, we've covered a lot of ground here today. I think we're coming upon the end of our time. Any final thoughts on what wholesalers and flippers should do?
You know what? Yeah, you should add land to your portfolio. I mean, it's a good strategy, and you should, if you've got more questions, give us a call here at Land.MBA. Check out our website and shoot us an email. And there's a calendar on there where you can set up a call, and we can have a chat with you. And I'd love to do it since I'm a pretty experienced flipper myself, and I can really speak to the differences and how it's a very congruent business model for you.
Fantastic. All right, Dave, great stuff. Lots of great information. Thanks for listening to Land.MBA Podcast. We'll see you guys next time.
Adios.
We hope you enjoyed this episode, had a bit of fun, and walked away with some actionable insights that you can apply to your business. Dave and I have got some great content and interviews planned, so don't forget to rate and review, and of course subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. If we mention any interesting links or tools, you'll find them in the show notes. To learn more about Land.MBA, visit our website at, wait for it, Land.MBA. See you next time on the Land.MBA Podcast.